All right, let's dive right in today. You ready for this?
Always.
Awesome. We're taking a deep dive into the world of coral reefs.
Ooh, love it.
Right. I mean, who doesn't love a good coral reef, right? But we're not just going to be looking at the pretty pictures.
Nope.
We're going deep. We're going to figure out why they're so important, what's messing with them, and what brilliant minds are doing to, save the day.
Sounds like a plan.
So when we think about coral reefs, I think rainforests of the sea.
Wow, absolutely.
So much life crammed into these tiny spaces. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, but they're home to something like 25% of all marine species.
Like a city, a bustling underwater city. But okay, let's get real here. Aside from looking all pretty and stuff,
Yeah.
how do these underwater cities actually help us land dwellers?
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, the beauty is obvious, but they're seriously important for protecting our coasts. They're like natural barriers against erosion and those crazy waves,
Yeah.
especially during storms.
So like natural seawalls protecting us from the ocean's fury.
Exactly. This is super important for coastal communities, especially now with sea levels on the rise.
Okay, so they're like bodyguards for the coastline.
Pretty much.
But wait, there's more, right? I've heard they're also economic powerhouses.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Millions depend on coral reefs. We're talking fishing, tourism.
Makes sense. I mean, who wouldn't want to dive into a vibrant coral reef?
Right. Those reefs bring in so much money supporting local businesses, especially in island nations where they're the main attraction.
It's amazing, right? This whole underwater world is tied to our lives up here. It's a delicate balance. But, and there's always a but, isn't it? There's trouble in paradise, right?
Right.
This underwater city's got problems, like their own little environmental crisis.
Exactly. Climate change, ocean acidification, pollution, overfishing even.
Hmm.
And then just, straight up physical damage. It's a lot.
Let's unpack that suitcase of doom, shall we? First up, climate change. I mean, we all know it's bad news, but I keep hearing this term coral bleaching. What's the deal with that? Like, how does that even happen?
Okay, so corals, they have this special relationship with tiny algae that live inside them. Think of it as a partnership, right?
A roommate situation.
Basically, the algae provide food through photosynthesis, like plants do. And in return, the coral gives them a safe place to hang out, plus some nutrients. But here's the thing. When the water gets too warm, the corals freak out. They get stressed, and they kick out the algae.
Evasion notice.
It's sad. And when they lose their algae buddies, they turn white. That's the bleaching part. Sometimes they can recover if the water cools down, but if it stays warm too long, they can actually die.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Like they're losing their food source, their color, their vibrance. Okay, moving on to another bummer. Ocean acidification. I know it's a thing, but honestly, I don't really get it. Can you break it down for me?
Yeah, no problem. So, you know how we keep pumping carbon dioxide into the air? Well, the ocean is like this giant sponge. It absorbs a lot of that CO2.
Okay, that's good, right? I mean, at least it's not all going into the atmosphere.
Yeah, in a way. But here's the catch. When CO2 mixes with water, it turns into carbonic acid, which makes the ocean more acidic.
Oh, so more acid in the ocean. That can't be good.
No, not at all. You see, corals use calcium carbonate to build their skeletons, their homes. But in more acidic water, it's like trying to build a house with dissolving bricks.
Whoa, that's a powerful image.
It's a real problem for coral reefs.
So climate change is stressing them out. Ocean acidification is messing with their ability to build homes. And then there's pollution, which is like throwing trash all over their cities.
Sadly, yeah. All that runoff from farms with fertilizers and pesticides, the plastic we throw away, sewage, it all ends up in the ocean. And it's toxic.
Talk about a recipe for disaster. Chemicals poisoning the water, plastic choking the life out of the corals.
It's awful. And then there's the overfishing problem. I mean, you take too many fish out of the equation and the whole ecosystem gets thrown out of whack.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's all about balance, right?
Exactly. Take herbivorous fish, for example, like parrotfish. They're like the lawnmowers of the reef, constantly munching on algae. This keeps the algae from taking over and smothering the coral. But we overfish these little guys, and bam, algae city.
And nobody wants to live in algae city.
Nope. The whole reef suffers when those herbivores are gone.
It's like a domino effect. And then just to add insult to injury, we have physical damage from things like tourism and coastal development.
Yeah, unfortunately. Careless tourists, boat anchors, all that construction near the coast, it can really do a number on coral reefs.
Yeah.
One anchor drop can wipe out decades of coral growth.
Wow, so much damage. I mean, it can feel really overwhelming.
It can.
But the good news is, I know there are people out there fighting for these underwater treasures.
Right. Yeah,
What?
absolutely. We have brilliant people and organizations doing amazing things to protect coral reefs.
So what are they doing? How are they fighting back?
Well, one key strategy is creating marine protected areas.
Okay, hold on. What are those?
They think of them like national parks for the ocean. These areas have restrictions on human activities to help protect the ecosystem.
So, like, no fishing allowed.
Well, it depends. There are different kinds of marine protected areas. Some are strict no-take zones, no fishing, no nothing. But others allow some fishing, but with very strict rules.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I like that. So besides these underwater parks, what else are we doing to save the reefs?
Well, fishing regulations are a big one. Setting quotas on how much fish can be caught, or banning those destructive fishing methods that damage the reefs.
So like dynamite fishing, that's a thing, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. We need to promote sustainable fishing, the kind that keeps the whole ecosystem healthy. And some places are even creating fish banks within these protected areas, letting fish populations rebound and spill over to surrounding areas.
I like the sound of that. And of course, we can't forget about pollution. I mean, cleaning up the ocean seems like a monumental task.
It's a big one, for sure. But we're making progress. Better waste management on land is crucial, right? Preventing all that runoff from getting into the ocean in the first place.
So less trash in the ocean. Check.
Exactly. And then there's the cleanup efforts. Huge projects to remove plastic and other debris from the ocean.
Wow, it sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's necessary.
So we're protecting them, we're trying to control the damage, but can we actually bring back damaged reefs? Is that even possible?
Oh, absolutely. We're getting pretty good at restoring coral reefs. One cool method is coral gardening.
Coral gardening. I mean, sign me up. What is that?
Okay, picture this. An underwater nursery. They're growing corals, either on land or in the ocean. Then they transplant them onto those degraded reefs. It's like planting a garden, but underwater.
I love it, an underwater garden. So are there like special tools involved, like tiny little underwater shovels?
Well, not exactly shovels, but they use special techniques, like fragmentation. That's where they break bigger corals into smaller pieces. This actually encourages them to grow faster.
So breaking them apart helps them grow stronger. Interesting.
It's a bit counterintuitive, but it works. And then there's microfragmentation.
Micro, so even smaller
Okay,
pieces.
tiny, tiny pieces. And these little guys, they grow really fast.
So we're giving these damaged reefs a boost, helping them heal faster. This is giving me so much hope.
There's more. Ever heard of supercorals?
Wait, is that a real thing?
It is. Scientists are identifying and breeding corals that are naturally tougher,
Like they can take the heat.
Exactly. They can tolerate warmer temperatures or are more resistant to disease. They're like the superheroes of the coral world.
I love that. Coral superheroes to the rescue.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what if there's nothing left to restore? Like the reef is just gone. Can we just build a new one?
You know what? We can actually do that. It's called building artificial reefs.
Wait, really? Like from scratch?
Pretty much. They use things like concrete blocks or even old ships. They sink them down there, and it gives the coral larvae something to attach to and start growing.
So it's like giving them a foundation, a new place to call home. So cool.
It is, isn't it? And then there's this really cool technique called biorock technology.
Okay, that sounds high-tech. What is that?
Basically, they use low-voltage electricity to, get this, speed up coral growth.
Electricity can make them grow faster. How does that even work?
Okay, so the electric current causes minerals to build up on a metal structure. It forms a layer of limestone, which corals love. It's like giving them a super boost.
That's incredible. So
Yeah.
many brilliant minds working on this. It's inspiring, right? And I hate to be a downer, but aren't there also a lot of challenges?
You're right. I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Like
Oh.
what are the biggest hurdles we're facing?
Well, scale is a big one. Coral reefs are massive. Even with all our efforts, it's tough to restore them as quickly as they're being damaged. It's a bit like trying to replant an entire rainforest, one tree at a time.
I imagine funding's a problem too. All this research and restoration can't be cheap.
Yeah, money is definitely a challenge. We need more investment to scale up these projects and really make a difference.
And then there's the elephant in the room. Even with all these efforts, can these reefs survive if the oceans keep warming?
It's the big question, right? Ultimately, we need to address climate change. It's the root of so many problems. We can't just restore our way out of this. We need to reduce our carbon footprint globally.
So much to think about.
Right.
Well, I've got to say, This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. Coral reefs are clearly more than just pretty pictures. They're vital to the health of our planet and, frankly, to our own well-being.
100%.
And while they're facing some serious threats, it's so inspiring to see the work being done to protect and restore them. It's this amazing blend of science, ingenuity, and pure passion.
I love it. It's a testament to human collaboration and our ability to innovate, but it's also a stark reminder that we have a responsibility to protect these precious ecosystems.
So for our listeners out there, you've heard the call to action. What can you do, even if you don't live near a coral reef?
Be mindful of your choices. Reduce your carbon footprint, support sustainable practices, and get involved with organizations that are fighting for our oceans. Every little bit counts.
That's such an important message. The fate of coral reefs is intertwined with our own. It's a reminder that we're all connected, and we need to work together to protect our planet.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye.
Bye.